nobody wins when the family feels.
Investigators still working a triple homicide that happened in an East Macon neighborhood over the weekend. 2 guns found on the scene and 2 brothers are dead. A 16-year-old also died Saturday night around 11 on East William Street.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maggie Fitzgerald. New tonight, neighbors in East Macon described the moment they heard dozens of gunshots ring out Saturday night. Witnesses tell us the gunfire sounded like an automatic weapon. Some say they heard 2 separate rounds of shots about an hour apart.
I thought maybe it was some firecrackers or something because it said pow, 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 pow. And I'm like, what in the world? And then about an hour or so later, he did the same thing. Pow, 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 pow. Kind of scary because them bullets ain't got no name or they can come to anybody's apartment or anyone and shoot, hurt them. You know, it's sad.
When you get people together willing to share, the world gets awfully small. And that's when we're able to close cases and make arrests.
How, whether it be a gun buyback program, something we've got to do here in Macon to make sure we get the number of guns off the street.
District 3 Commissioner Stanley Stewart says the violence is tearing apart the community and is calling on churches and schools to take action to end the cycle. He says the threat is coming from within the community, not outside.
We got Crime Stopper signs out. We've had them out since April. This area had an issue back then. We go out to where the action is taking place, make contact, and try to do what we can to put people together.
Now imagine this, fam. You're in a small Georgia neighborhood on a quiet night. Crickets chirping, porch lights on, kids inside. Then suddenly, over 50 shots get let off. You quickly find out 3 young men end up losing their lives. And a couple days later, police say the only person tied to it as of yet is a 21-year-old woman who just graduated with honors. And all across town, they talking about it. How she go from classroom excellence to cold case suspect. Not for 1 murder, not for 2, but for 3. Was she set up? Did she know too much? Or did she really have a hand in what went down that night? Well, in this video, we're going to try our best to find out. According to all public records, we're going to try to break down everything. The victims, the connection, and how one of Macon's most shocking cases might have just exploded something deeper in Bibb County. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I won't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to jump right to it. Now let's start this video off with some facts. We know victims' families are angry, and they got every right to be. But now it's gotten to the point, because of the information being shared online, that even the suspects themselves might allegedly want this young girl gone, simply because of what she knows. So now you got 2 sides of the community. Some praying she's alive, and others praying she's caught, all in the name of justice. And at 21 years old, this young woman is in what you call a lose-lose situation. And the crazy part is this: when or if she is apprehended, authorities already believe more arrests is likely to come. But before we dive into the full details of this case, who was involved, and what allegedly happened, and how investigators say this was part of a retaliation shooting, without giving too much detail, let's talk about Macon, Georgia first itself. The crime, the history, and some quick facts about the city. Now when you hear the name Macon, Georgia, most people think of a small, slow-paced southern town. But if you really know Macon, you know it's a city split in 2. One side built on history and heart, and the other side is still fighting heavy poverty, violence, and generational trauma. Located in Bibb County, Macon sits right in the middle of Georgia, not far from Atlanta, about an hour and some change away. But the difference in opportunity feels like night and day. Over the past few years, crime in Macon has risen dramatically. In 2024 alone, the county recorded more than 70 homicides, most involving young people under 25. And just like a lot of other smaller southern cities, Macon's biggest problem isn't just the violence itself, it's how fast retaliation spreads. One shooting turns into 2, then 3. Then you having families left with no answers. But at the same time, it's also a city full of pride, music roots, church culture, and tight-knit families who've been there for generations. So when something like this happened, especially involving a young woman who once represented the best of her community, it hits home a little different. That's why this story grabbed the entire county's attention, because it wasn't just another case of senseless violence. It was a reminder that no matter how small the town, darkness can still find its way in. So now we got that foundation laid out, fam. Let's talk about what really happened that night, who the victims were, and how investigators believe the entire situation was part of a retaliation gone wrong. Fam, meet Rikimia Henley. She only 21 years old as of today. At first she went to Westside High School, but she found herself going off track until she transferred and decided to attend a school that wear uniform, more strict, and less distractions. And because of that, back in April of 2020, her mom went to Facebook and said the following: "I'm so proud of my baby, Rikimia Henley. Through all the pain and lost loved ones, the mishap at Westside, which almost cost her her future, but God stepped in. My baby grieved, cried, and endured unimaginable pain, but she still remained humble, focused, and driven to be successful. This little girl gave up her fashion, wearing her own clothes to school, to be at a school that wears uniform and doesn't allow them to have their phone, to be at a school with less distractions and a better leader. I thought she would give up a long time ago because she loves her threads, but instead, she went harder, staying at school from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., staying on her ish, going to twilight tutoring, whatever it takes. Every time I go to her room, she's glued to that laptop on E2020, assuring her education and success. And okay, yes, for a teenager, that's considered a boring life, but I promise it's gonna pay off. But today, I just want to say this beautiful, determined-headed, strong, spoiled brat of mine that I love her, and I'm so proud of her, and she deserves every dime I spent on her. And her hard work is not going unnoticed. I see you, babe, and your priorities being in the right place at such a young age is awesome, but your hunger for success is absolutely breathtaking. The following year, May of 2021, she graduated, and her local news platform has shouted her out for graduating with honors from Northeast High School. It didn't go on to say she's the daughter of Corinthia Henley and the late Jesse Henley. And then that's when I found out more about the parents' relationship and how the dad had lost his life after doing research on him. And that's when I found out that Rakimia's mom had killed her dad back in 2009 with a kitchen knife after coming home for stabbing a man in 1999 and doing 3 years. According to an article by the Macon Post, back in 2009, it quoted that a woman who fatally stabbed her husband early Sunday morning had previously served 3 years in prison for stabbing a man in 1999, according to court records. Bibb County Superior Court records show Corinthia Henley, then Corinthia Johnson, pled guilty November 29, 1999 to stabbing a man July 15, 1999. She was sentenced March 27, 2000 to serve 3 years in prison, followed by 7 years on probation, according to court records. She came home in 2003. By 2009, 6 years later, she was 30 years old, and she ended up stabbing 28-year-old Jesse Gerald Henley with a kitchen knife following an argument at around 5:45 a.m. It was Sunday, according to Macon police. A police report labeled the case as justifiable homicide. Corinthia Henley told officers her husband was beating her and pushed her face into a pan of grease warming on the stove when she reached for the knife. The police sergeant at the time said no charges had been filed in connection with Jesse Henley's death, and the police investigation expected to be ongoing for months, but now was considered closed. Ultimately, the case was transferred to Bibb County District Attorney's Office, and they was the ones to determine if charges would be filed or not, and I guess they chose not to. But as you can see, Rakimia had it rough growing up, and if my math is correct, when her mom came home, the next year, she had her. And then 2 years later, she killed her dad. And since the age of 2, Rakimia has been living life without her father, only her mom. Now fast forward to 2025, just 4 years after graduating high school with honors, Rakimia is now wanted by Bibb County for not 1 or 2, but 3 homicides, 2 brothers and a young man. 2 guns was found at the scene, a handgun and a Draco. She back on August 18th, 2025. It was a Saturday night, and a shooting had took place on East William Street in Macon. It left 3 people dead. See, according to the sheriff's office, the first call to 911 came in at around 10:30 p.m., reporting a man had been shot on William Street. The victim was identified as 27-year-old Quantarius Townsend. He was taken to a local hospital where he was later pronounced deceased. May he rest in peace and love and condolences to his family. Roughly 30 minutes later, deputies responded to another call in the 500 block of William Street and found 2 more victims. Brandon Thomas, 21, Markel Boner Jr., 16, suffering from gunshot wounds. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office later pronounced them dead. May they both rest in peace and love and condolences to their families as well. As mentioned before, at least 50 shell casings were recovered as investigators processed the scene throughout the night. Bibb County's coroner, Leon Jones, said 2 weapons were recovered at the scene, an AK-47 rifle and a handgun. And for weeks, they had no suspect, and police was urging the authorities to come in with clues. But throughout the barbershops, the hair salons, the schools, people was already talking, and they already knew what was up. But check this news clip out first.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maggie Fitzgerald. New tonight, neighbors in East Macon described the moment they heard dozens of gunshots ring out Saturday night. Witnesses tell us the gunfire sounded like an automatic weapon. Some say they heard 2 separate rounds of shots about an hour apart. Hunter King shares more after speaking with people who live nearby.
Neighbors here in East Macon off of William Street tell me that they are shocked, not by the shooting itself, but just the severity of it all. Investigators say dozens of shots rang out on Saturday night shooting that claimed the lives of 3 men. And here on Sunday afternoon, those same investigators are trying to figure out what led up to the shooting. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office identifies the victims as 27-year-old Quantarius Townsend, 21-year-old Brandon Thomas, and 16-year-old Markel Bonner Jr. Deputies responded to the 500 block of William Street just before 11 p.m. on Saturday night. Diane Jolly lives down the road, and she heard the gunfire.
I was in bed, and I thought maybe it was some firecrackers or something, because it said, pow, 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 pow. And I'm like, what in the world? And then about an hour or so later, he did the same thing. Pow, 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 pow.
Jolly says the neighborhood was quiet when she moved here nearly 4 years ago. She described a different scene now.
It really is scary for me to be an older person, and it's like he kind of scary because them bullets ain't got no name, or they can come to anybody's apartment or anyone and shoot, hurt them. You know, it's sad.
Our crews first on the scene Saturday night counted at least 50 shell casings at the scene. Witnesses who spoke to us off camera say gang activity is frequent in the neighborhood. One witness tells us this shooting may be connected to a previous incident, but the sheriff's office has not confirmed that link. Deputies found 2 victims dead at the scene. Townsend died at the hospital. We reached out to the sheriff's office for an interview, but they declined. Reporting in East Macon, Hunter King, 13 WMAZ News.
The Sheriff's Office asks anyone with information to call 478-751-7500 or Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-877-68-CRIME.
Now this Macon, Georgia. So that was the talk of the town for weeks. And weeks would go by, authorities would still have yet to make an arrest. But they started to get some tips. They later found out that the suspects was allegedly a part of a crew called EBK, who had ongoing feud with another group, who allegedly took matters into their own hands and shot up their neighborhood and was considered a drive-by. And this is how authorities will have a person of interest 5 weeks later for those 3 murders. It's been alleged and on social media that the crew who was into it with those group of young men, one of them was a boyfriend to Rakima. And the only reason authorities only know her so far because it's been alleged that it was her vehicle that was used. Even someone had went on social media and wrote this in the comments, indicating that her boyfriend was one of the ones who shot it up and allegedly her car was used. But none of that has been confirmed, but it would make sense on why authorities will only have her as listed as a person of interest thus far. On top of that, people has been going around with this theory that she allegedly set these dudes up, but as of now, that's not the fact. And if that's proven and given out by local authorities or via court records, you know I'm going to keep you guys updated. But nonetheless, Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, Bibb County had put up a wanted poster for Rakimia Henley, saying she's 21, 5'6", weigh 135 pounds, brown hair, and black. They also indicated she had braces and tattoos along the right arm and thigh. Now, even though she won it in the court of law, she's innocent until proven guilty. You can only imagine what's going through her head right now. Not only her head, but her mother. You're talking about somebody who graduated with high honors 4 years prior, overcame obstacles in high school, made that transition, grew up without her dad since the age of 2 because he was killed by the hands of her mother. And now she wanted for 3 bodies. And some say she ain't pulled 1 trigger. It's a very unfortunate situation, but it goes to show you, trying to fit in and band with the wrong crowd can make you just as guilty as any crime that's allegedly been done. And the sad part about all this is that she only 21, but what's even more damaging is that 3 lives were lost. Now I know at this point people wondering who the boyfriend. Did he speak out? Well, I can say this. It's a young man who has been active on social media, but after the 9th it seemed that he didn't, who claimed to be her boyfriend. I won't give his name because authorities didn't give it out yet, but I will show you public videos that was presented on Rakima's birthday just 2 years prior, as he wished her a happy birthday to his girlfriend/wife. As of now, he has yet to speak on this situation or speak period on social media since the week before this incident. Now, people was making parlays, I'm quite sure, the over and under. If she was over or her telling, the money would be flooding in. But as more developed, I'll keep you guys updated. Until then, let me know how you feel about this one in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one.